Wait a minute, this boy is high def. I clearly need to step up my camera quality.
Bro, this is the iPad, bro. Relax.
I don't know. I've just been seeing all the hype about the proximity chat.
It's toxic.
I
It's really toxic.
mean, the internet's toxic. What else?
This just plays so well into the system.
Boy done pulled up. The boy who he might have.
Oh man!
The man who might have moved past.
Joe, you might not be on the game.
We gonna fix that. We gonna fix that. Bro.
Are you on the new Warzone? Or are you on 2K?
Nah, I'm playing 2K right now.
Is that a clean hairline or a do-rag?
Nah, it's a wave cap, man. I got that.
I'm just like, this man's tape is impeccable.
But if he had that,
this tape up is impeccable.
I'm like, yeah, it rides up a little bit. I'm like, that junk is straight.
Yo, by the way, if you haven't RSVP'd already, listen, the probation's almost closed.
Oh, shoot. You're right. You're right. Send that link. Send the link one time real quick.
Wait.
Yeah, I was just about to do that. I was like, as soon as you pulled out your phone, I was like, he ain't got it. Ray, are you coming? I know it's on a Wednesday, so I know you might have class or something.
Hey, if I don't come in a suit, don't be mad. All right,
I won't be upset at all. Bro, come in the scrubs. People be like, yo, he a doctor. Hey, listen, you never know.
Oh gosh.
Gonna throw the band back. You're like, yo, catch it. Make sure he catches it. He a doctor. Hold on.
Yo, come in the scrub. You might get your food before me. Be like, yo, serve the doctor. Come in the scrubs, right?
Listen, came out of OR, bro.
Exactly.
Pull the hat out of my pocket, like, yeah, you see this blood? Yeah, I do this for real.
Hey, you say live? I never said that. I said what I do. I just said I do this.
Yeah, welcome back to the party. We're a bit less Haitian today, unfortunately.
Honestly,
we still honor the boy Eddie.
My boy married now, man. When he was single, he could just clear his schedule, but now he's married. He got things to do.
Okay, we officially have 7 questions, but I had to ask some clarification questions. I got at least 3 DMs that were some variation of what the heck are these people on? First question, should athletes only focus on sports or address relevant outside issues? 35% for sports only, 65% for outside issues.
30% believe in shut up and dribble, for real. Okay.
I'm going to be honest. I said sports only. Because, in my opinion, it's not really your job. I want the ones of us who went to school to study like philosophy and like social work, people who get into policy. Those are the people I want speaking on issues to a certain extent. Not that if you do basketball or football, you can't do both. But primarily, where do I want to get that people speaking on things is that. Now, granted, your platform is bigger, so I think you could shed light. But like, even then, I want you to shed light on people who do this. If there's like a medical issue, right, that it's very passionate for people who work in healthcare. Though I'm a high professional athlete, I don't fully understand the impact or the nuances that really go into it. I just have a bigger platform. So I could hand off to my boy Ray and be like, yo, I have one of my boys here who works at, who's doing his rotation at University of Miami, and these are the struggles that they're going through as well. LeBron can bring about great changes to an extent because of the platform, but LeBron can't bring about policy. I don't think LeBron can lower his taxes and where he lives. That's what the politicians do. He can get voters to come out, possibly, not necessarily on the shut up and dribble, but it's like, I don't want LeBron to be my spokesperson on social issues. I want somebody who went to school, who studied policy, state and on local levels. I want you to be, because you study this. You know the nuances. You know how things get done.
I understand the perspective that you're speaking on. Obviously, if you're in a situation like that, you don't speak on something you're not educated on or you haven't received information on, right? Because in that moment, you will definitely look dumb. The reason why I said yes, we get to this point where us as lower levels, working class, middle class people, right? When we hear them talk, oh, why are you talking about it? You're rich. You're yada, yada, yada. You're part of that threshold. Like, oh, this doesn't affect you. In a situation where there's somebody that's, quote unquote, has a name like LeBron or has a name like Cristiano Ronaldo. Shout out to the World Cup, by the way. It influences people, right? I feel like that kind of segues into one of the other questions that Ray has on the thing, right?
Stay with the first one. Stay with the first.
with names like that, you have a following of people. And if you're pushing a positive agenda, sadly, there can also be a negative agenda. But if you're pushing a positive agenda and you want more people to be on that, that's the way you're gonna reach people. Granted, there's a lot of people that, okay, you got the initials at the end of your name, you know what I'm saying? You got a BC, you got an MD, you got a PH, you know what I'm saying? If you're really being honest, people in society today don't listen to them. It's bad, obviously, because I'm in chiropractic school. I would hate for somebody to ask a basketball player what is chiropractic, because they can't give you explain. They can say, oh, it feels good, it helps me. If I can teach as a doctor each and every individual about what I'm doing or what chiropractic is doing or how it affects the body, they'll be able to relay that message. I'm not going to be able to teach everybody. I can only reach one person, while that one person can reach a spread. That narrative is really, I feel like it's controlled by a lot of the players, a lot of the athletes, a lot of the celebrities, because we have stands. And Beyonce wants to say right now, go to church. I promise you, I promise you, we're going to see all the Beyonce stands going to church. That's just the hold they have on it. Speak. If it's positive, speak.
Hey, man, next GC session, Beyonce doing divine service. But
Yo, bring Beyonce back to the roots.
Ted Wilson, so that's a backup there.
Oh, man. That boy Theodore out of this, all right? Theodore out of this.
Theodore is crazy.
While we on the sports topic, by the way, shout out to the boy Neff and his boys. Ohio State, them boys got in at number 4 for the playoffs. So, you know,
shout out to Utah.
Shout out to the Utes, bro. I felt that the question fits mostly into, like, in our experience at least, the racial tensions that have happened. So I feel like in that regard, athletes should be able to speak on it, given that these experiences are firsthand for everyone. For example, I guess to let y'all into the medical world a bit, there's a lot of tension about the work culture of medicine, and they're really they've been working on reducing how many hours both students and residents are responsible for. But frankly, a huge wall in it is the government will not release the funds to hire more doctors. That's a very simple, like, rule that we're kind of up against in medicine. And that's something that the average person could be like, man, that sucks. But unless you're a medical professional or medical trainee, you wouldn't exactly know, okay, how many hours are we talking about? Because if you ask the average person, hey, how many hours is a lot of hours to work a week? Given that the average work week is 40, most people would be like, I mean, if I did 55 or 60, that seemed like a lot. Most doctors would chuckle at the idea of 60 hours being an unbearable amount of work.
Right.
Outpatient clinic doctors can knock out 60 hours in a week. Inpatient, you can get up to 70, 80. So it can get really bad. So that type of situation, all right, yeah, if you have a foot in the door or foot in the water, fine. But when it comes to, I mean, like Josiah jokingly mentioned, but Laura Ingraham and Shove and Dribble, a Black athlete definitely does have the foundation to comment on Black related topics or topics that are centered on Blackness or just racial dynamics in general, because like he's part of it. And he was
born Black.
So yeah, well, yes. As far as those types of comments or those types of topics where you're a part of that, born into it, or it's just part of your natural existence, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to comment. And then I guess Neff's point about, handing off to people. The thing is, and as we've seen with this Kyrie situation, who you hand off to is also going to be interpreted a certain way in terms of your own position. Because if you're like, oh, I'm going to hand off to a sociologist who researches racial dynamics, that's fine. But if your sociologist is a regular guest on Fox News compared to being a regular guest on The Daily Show, you're going to get a much different interpretation of those two people by whoever follows you. And therefore, that position will then be attributed to you because that's the person you decide to hand off to. Given that, in a very rational sense, you would only defer in that situation to someone who you agree with. You wouldn't defer to the other side of a debate if you didn't agree with it, at least like logically speaking. So I feel like even then, I don't think you can really sit on the fence with this type of thing if it's a discussion that has sides, because there's going to be a side to be on. So that's what I think makes it tougher. I think you can be moderate in how you discuss things, but I think when it comes to questions of, to be like very direct, are the amount of guns that we have in America a problem? You can't really look at our history in our current place and say, it's a wash. You can say, I'd like to see more research from either side. You can say, no, I don't think it's a problem, and I think we need to research more to exactly, come to that conclusion. Or you can say, yes, and I'd like to see more research to make it clear. But you can't exactly just say, I'm on the fence, like could be good, could be bad. There's people that think it's good or it's bad, or people that look at, I think California mentioned, I don't know if this was official, I guess I should fact check this. California apparently calculated reparations sometime this week. That's not a on the fence thing. Either that money would be given out or it's not. And you couldn't say, could be, could not be, whatever. Like if you're voting, you vote, yeah, I'm with this, or no, I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I hear what you're both saying with that, and it's like, again, like I understand the whole platform era that we are in, but again, I just have to go back on what Joe said. Like, yeah, you want people who are a bit educated talking about certain things, to after a certain point. If the question were worded like, should athletes bring awareness to other issues outside of their general sports, I'd be like, all right, yeah, bring awareness. That's what Cap was doing, and he reached out to people and different things. He was doing things on the ground. You brought up Kyrie, that whole thing. Listen, man, like he just needs a PR person. You're like, how do I say this message out here? You know what I'm saying? For us here who are SDA, right? The SDA
for
conference.
Us here, the SDA.
Yeah, like for the. But you never know what this video reaches, right? You never know. Hopefully, these videos extend outside of us.
Amen. So
the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the conferences are run primarily by pastors. In like every department, there's probably a pastor in there. My biggest gripe with that is finances. We are $1 million, like hundreds of $1 million, like nonprofit organization, but the money is not spread out, but you got pastors who are in charge of finance. The people who go to school at Andrews or Southern, whatever, in these finance departments are not in these finance departments like conference level. But the people who know about the stuff, who should be doing it, they don't have the platform, they don't have the opportunity to do it. And so this is where I'm all in favor of the handoff. I'm all in favor of like bringing awareness, because then you get like LeBron speaking on chiropractic just because he spends $1 million a year annually on his body. He gets it done, but he didn't sit in a classroom to know about chiropractic. So if he goes to a bad chiropractor and be like, yo, chiropractic is garbage, Joe's going to be looking at her like, no, the one you went to is garbage. These are the positive effects if people know what they're doing. Yeah, just to agree with Joe, that's the danger of it. Who you hand it off to, things of that nature, like that.
Now, that could be off. We talking about a pitch. We talking about inside handoff.
Inside handoff. a shovel pass.
A shovel. Oh Lord.
Shovel pass.
Oh my gosh. On that note, we are moving right along to the question Joe so aptly foreshadowed. Are we too influenced by celebrity? This is, I don't know if this is like a top 5 one-sided percentage, but we got 95% yes on this. This one's pretty high up.
Whoa.
That's one of the few we've had. Probably.
Yeah, we've had a couple of 90s in the past, I think, but 95% yes. So that's not much debate about this one.
I mean, how could we not be? I say we in the general sense. How could we not be? Celebrities are more accessible now than ever before.
Well, not on their own will, by the way, but
but to make money, to push out your brand, like I think you willfully kind of have to a certain point. Like they sign up for it, right? Like you need to push your brand, you need to push stuff out there, even if it's not them handling their Twitter or their IG. They got somebody that does it for them, but they're accessible. Like how could we not be? On a personal level, the only person I ever cared about as a celebrity R.I.P. to God was Kobe. Since Kobe died, anytime some people are like, oh, this person passed away, I'll be like, oh.
Dang, not even Chadwick. That's tough.
Chadwick was like, bro, I'm scrolling through the tweets. People like, yo, this one hurts. And silently, I'm like, can't relate. I'm like, Black Panther was a good movie. I had no personal relationship for him.
He didn't
I
get
just
his
thought he was a
tuition
good
paid for by
actor.
Chadwick.
No disrespect. But it's like, I'm not led by celebrities in that regard. You're here today, gone tomorrow. You're those tweets like someone's like, yo, y'all could possibly be ruining this man's family the way you're talking about it. Our brother had a tweet and that person like rolled over in sleep, how CB3 would be if I was in that situation. That's kind of like how I feel. Like anything that happens to celebrity, okay, I still gotta go to work. What did LeBron say when they lost that finals? He's like, you still gotta get up and go to work tomorrow. I do. So let me take my behind the bed.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Neff. And it's tough because of who certain people choose to follow, I guess. I mean, like, there's obviously the positives. Dang, like Neff said, Kobe. People are like, I want to be like Mike. You know what I'm saying? Like, influence. You see people coming out with the Jordan calf sleeve. These celebrities have the whole world in a jiu-jitsu. I'm going to be very honest with you. Sometimes you need that motivation to be great. But what a lot of people, I guess, fail to realize is that you're not going to reach anything looking at other people. It all starts within yourself, obviously. But it's sad to say you can see everybody's affected in some way, somehow, by any celebrity or people we may not even consider a celebrity. But that's just really how the world is. People are influenced by their fathers, their mothers, their cousins, their family. We could go as small as that. Celebrities is like, that's the higher scale. Some people realize, I ain't gonna reach that. They cool though. You know what I'm saying? If I was looking up to Bron, I'm like, I ain't making it to the league. If I'm being honest, I ain't gonna make it to the league. Watching him play, I'm like, oh, I could use that in the rec game.
Hey, don't be flopping now, Joe. Don't take that part of the game. Flopping in the rec league.
I led my team in charges taken. Andrew. So I do this. I do this. Okay. I take it in the chest, all right? Take it in the chest.
you better than me. I'm gonna move out the way. He better than me.
If it's somebody I know that's on boom, I'll make a business decision.
Imagine you get hit and then you hear the whistle. You're like, yes, charge. Block. You're like, son of a.
Those hurt. Those hurt. I'll be arguing with the ref on that one. One ref told me, don't argue with me, argue with your mama. I was like, whoa.
You want to talk about mama? You want to talk about mama?
So we talking about
I forgot his name, but we played against Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
And he came in with a Benton Harbor jacket, right? And one of the kids from Kalamazoo went to Benton Harbor. So I was like, oh, this is about to be screwed anyway. I don't know if I took a charge, something like that. He called foul. I looked, I was like, yo, there's no way that's a foul. He was like, yo, don't argue with me, just argue with your mama. I was like,
no, there's a reason why the refs leave early, because they keep talking reckless.
Somebody like the point you made about a lot of celebrities, there's a whole lot of like artists now. They talk about their names. I'm just like, who are these people? Mikey was on I Am Athlete. They're like, oh, name your top 5 artists. And I think the last 2 he named, I was like, I've literally never heard of these people. And they're in his top 5. And I'm like, do I just not listen to enough? Well, I don't listen to too much stuff that wide per se. I'm just like, I'm on social media enough to see who's at least trending. And I've never heard of it. Yeah, as far as like the influence thing, man, I feel like at this point, because a lot of celebrities lean into like empowerment and like, you know, they have whatever their come up story is. People do resonate with stories, but I think like people try to like take on those stories and try to almost either make their own life mirror them or like buy into these stories in like this really tough way. And I feel like with that happening, you end up with people just being a sheep, or they just get sucked into like the celebrity world. I get BuzzFeed notifications about twice a week from like the Apple News or whatever. One of the articles, literally, we know you probably didn't even care to know this, but we're telling you anyway. And I'm just like, are we serious? You know we don't care, but you're going to tell us anyway. It honestly goes back to, you know, Neff's least favorite basketball player all time, LeBron. When he said, look, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I have the life that I have and y'all have your life. He wasn't lying.
Yeah, Neff was like, he's so mad. LeBron tell the truth there.
When you woke up the next day, the ecstasy of him losing, that was gone the night before. You have to wake up and go to work. And he woke up in the offseason having just signed an amazing contract with a great team that he was prepared to win with. And LeBron went on to have one of the greatest decades of basketball we've seen. And most other people are not much different than where they were 10 years ago, relatively speaking. We get so sucked into this stuff. And my personal theory about celebrity culture is that it's such an easy way to engage in escapism. I believe that celebrity culture allows people to escape so easily from life that you can just talk about actual like celebrity lives, and then you have like TV shows, like these reality shows or whatever, and then you have regular like TV, like dramas and stuff. But with celebrity culture, people on podcasts go on right now. Everybody's talking about Krishan and Blueface. Like, oh my gosh, should he we understand that's a broken relationship and he needs to leave, and that's about all that needs to be said. But these podcasts will go and make a whole 30-minute episode about what this means and what the implications are. Just like, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. We see what this is. It's another bad, famous relationship. That's just what it is. But it allows so many people to just have something else to talk about, so that they don't have to talk about their own stuff. That's why I think it mostly is, I should say.
This is not necessarily looking up to a celebrity type thing, but I mean, I feel like it does kind of play a part. There's some people that are willing to, I guess because they've seen their celebrity or the people they look up to, they've seen them struggle and they want to struggle so bad as well. I've seen people that are willing to like do the most to kind of like associate themselves with other people. I'm hearing in school, professor is giving us a choice. There's a day where we're going to have 4 exams back to back to back to back. 4 exams. And one of our professors was like, how about we, instead of having an exam on Thursday, we have it Monday. Let's take some pressure off of y'all. All right, let's have it Monday. Oh, so I'm like, oh yeah, perfect. Ooh. You are a blessing, professor. One of my classmates is like, no, we should have it on Thursday because sometimes in life we don't get the opportunity for this to happen. I was like,
oh my God. Oh Lord.
I was like, sometimes in life. Well, this is not one of the times. You said sometimes, right? Sometimes. If we go
you gotta
back
hit him with that Imam Shumpert, like, bro, what are you on?
What you on?
If we using the English dictionary correctly, you said sometimes, not all the time, sometimes, right? So why?
Why?
And then in my head, I'm like, there's no way you want to go through all of this when you yourself be complaining about so much things. And then opportunity comes out and you're like, nah, I want the struggle. I want the thing, just to kind of associate with you like, oh, I've been through this.
That to me sounds like fake nobility, where you're like, oh yeah, let's be like warriors about this. And it's just like, that's one thing. The struggle has been romanticized. Getting it from the mud, or like how hard you have to grind, that's been romanticized by a lot of, especially in music. And it's just like, look, I don't know where all these rappers have come from, but I don't think all of them have done all the things that they said they had
not at all
to get to where they are. So when it comes to those types of things, when people are just like, yeah, I want the struggle, it's just like the people that are built different like that, you know, and they usually don't have to say people that are cool with, you know, whatever, they won't be complaining like for the rest of the semester about assignments and stuff. And all of a sudden they switch up. People that don't care, they don't care from the jump, and you know it, because you'll be like, man, we really got 2 tests back-to-back days, and you'll talk to them and be like, yeah, fine, I'm just studying, and you're just like, bruh, this means nothing to you. And you're like, fine, not stressed about it. That right there, I don't know, maybe they're trying to get a good evaluation from the professor. This student's
evaluation.
Man, look, I don't know.
So this student is eager to put themselves into depression. Yes.
Honestly, like as I'm sitting here thinking about it, the first thing that came to mind is like, yo, may just be so used to deviate from that, something worse is coming. If I take this now while I'm managing, if I take the break now when I really need the break, I won't get it. Because again, I'm trying to think like what would possess you? Because it's not like someone asked the teacher for this, the professor for this, and the professor's like, all right, since most of you guys are asking, saying like, oh, he wants a good review or whatever, a good handoff. I don't even think that makes sense. I think it's just like, yo, some people are just like, yo, I've been struggling so long. I'm used to things not going my way so much If I get one break, I don't want it to be this. You know what I'm saying? Like
I think you on with that.
I love that thought, but it was the comment afterwards that solidified that this person just wants to choose struggle.
What was the comment after?
Like the opportunity came, the teacher said that sometimes in life you don't get the choice. I was like, but you're given the choice. Like he's like, sometimes in life you're not given a choice, but you're given a choice. How does that equate to, you know what I'm saying?
I don't know. I think that fills in with what Neff is saying. Yeah, they might be so used to struggle. It's like they get a choice and they don't actually process that they're getting a choice. So it's just like, oh yeah, I'll take the struggle. It's just like, bro, we just said you don't have to struggle. And they're like, yeah, but struggle's good for you. And it's just like, bro.
This how Jesus must feel when he says, lay all your burdens out on me. And he always like, nah, I got it, bro.
Jesus, like, a great philosopher, told me sometimes you gotta go through the.
Have y'all not heard of grace?
Bro, honestly, while we're on this, before we move on, to a certain point, that whole like God gives the strongest
battle is the strongest warriors.
Yeah. I don't think that's biblical. I don't think that's biblical at all. Like
talk that talk.
Because I think to a certain point, that's a bit vindictive. You want me to trust you wholly with everything. Come unto me, all who are weary and heavy laden. So that means that God makes me tired on purpose just so I can feel the need to lean on him. That seems vindictive. Because if I had a child and I want to teach that child to depend on me, and I go to Best Buy and go pick up that 60-inch, drag it to the car. I know he can't do it, so I set him up for him to try and fail and feel bad about himself that he can't do it. And then I come and I put it on the cart and I'd be like, I'm always going to be there for you. Remember that. What? The free will isn't there. It's just like, all right, your other free will option is for you to fail. But who gave him that task knowing he would fail? I did. That's vindictive. You'd be like, yo, God gives his toughest battle to a strongest soldier. The same Bible says, I'm nothing without Christ. The best I can do is the equivalent of filthy rags. That again, like, bro, God gives us struggle, or the consequence of sin causes us to struggle, but we have someone who can give us relief. Those feel like two different things. So I never really liked that. I heard that during a sermon or whatever, and I saw it on Twitter like a week ago. I'm like, I don't think that's true. Unless somebody could explain it better, and maybe I'm not understanding the right nuance that goes with that saying. But I'm like, yo, God gives us the toughest thing. Like, God will test our faith and build up our faith. But I'm like, God gives us the toughest battle. So that means like, he could have gave it to Ray, but he's like, you know what, Ray not stronger than Neff right now. Neff can bear it. Yeah.
Wait. In a sense, how many of us can we say can go through the trial that Job went through?
It's one of my favorite stories. I don't know if I could say I could go through that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not even in the arena to have kids, nonetheless. But again, I think the foundation of that story is like Job had that relationship with God. Though. Like, I feel like the relationship is important. You can't just throw anybody in the book of Job.
David and Job, kind of, if you think about it. But here's the thing, though, right? This is all from my own personal studies. Technically, and I mean very technically, Raymond knows when I use technically, that's technically, we are all going through a Job-like test, but it is moved or it's meshed in a certain way for each and every individual. Job lost his kids. It may be equivalent to say for me, I lost my car. There's levels to it. There's obviously levels to it. Job's story was the general to show everything. But if you take it down, not necessarily take it down notches, but if you equate it to your own life, listen, boils on my feet, sick to my stomach, have my friends tell me, curse God, my wife, my girl tell me, curse God and die. If we look at it in a broad scale, we do receive those same exact tests. But not that fierce, obviously, because God knows that we can't handle that. That's where God steps in.
I mean, to go back to what you said, though, it could be that fierce in our own perspective.
That's where God steps in. Satan is throwing arrows, javelins, whatever, spears at us. But what God decides to do when God steps in front of us, he shields us from the ones that he knows that we can't handle.
Yes and no, because, again, this is where free will comes in. Remember in chapter 3, Job says that, yo, may you curse the day that I was born. Job is pretty much asking God, yo, finish the job. This is where I'm going to get dark. Some people don't ask God to finish the job. They finish the job themselves. And that's why I think to say that God gives his toughest battles to a strong shoulder, that's not true. Some people are not tough enough to wait for chapter 38 to when God's going to talk to them and fix things. Some people don't make it to the end because Because chapter 1 and 2 were so hard. Chapter 1 and 2 were so hard. Then they got to chapter 12 where the friends weren't any encouragement. And they're like, bro, I don't need anything after 12. And so this is why I don't think, even if it is true, this is not a phrase we should just say to anybody because it's not encouraging.
So it's not. What we fail to look at in that whole statement, we're talking about God. In a situation where, some people don't make it to chapter 36, why didn't they make it to chapter 36?
38, but they didn't have the strength.
38, sorry. 38. They didn't have the strength? Okay, wait, but why? You mean to tell me, wait. You mean to tell me that in between those lines, there was not a point where God was like, there's an outlet here, but it's our free will and our free choice why we don't choose that outlet.
It's true, but when you talk to people that are depressed and suicide or have suicide ideations, they can't see past their hand.
Right. You can't
mean that God's not there.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that God's not there, but they can't see past the hand. The relief is whatever tool is gonna end the chapter. And I can understand, like, the relief is there. God is there. The small, still voice. I get it. But there's some people that explain it to me. It's just kind of like, yo, they're so tired from surviving that day. They don't think they have enough to survive the next. And if God was, and then they look at it, if God was going to provide that relief, he would have gave it to me already because I'm running on E. That gaslight's been on for months, for days, for hours, however long. So then what?
But just how God meshes our tests and all that stuff, we got to mesh how our words are used towards certain people. Like you expressed. It's not, you can't say that God gives his toughest battles to his toughest soldiers to somebody that's being depressed. 100%. The only people you could say that to is like say I'm having a conversation with Ray or having a conversation with you, who I know for sure, like we're together at this point, we're like, we have a foundation. Yeah. You can't say that to somebody else because that develops fear. Oh no, like what's the next point? Calling God, making sure I'm not one of the strongest soldiers. It's fear.
Yeah, that's been the tweet going on.
Yeah, bro.
It's fear. And I'm not gonna hold you. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I have a foundation, but I'm scared of myself. Bro, watching The Last Days, one of those things where you see the Christians get in prison. I'm scared. I'm gonna be very honest with you. I am very much scared. I do not want to go through that. It's like if I had the fire in me, I'm like, no, I'm not going out like this.
Yeah, that persecution ain't no joke, yo.
That persecution is no joke, but it's fear. I have that fear, and why? That's because for me, in my personal time, my worship time, I have not touched that part with God yet. I would be very honest with you. I have that fear. I have not touched everything else right now because right now what I'm praying to God with is finals, DC, chiropractic school, all that stuff. I'm personally, for real, I'm not ready for that. But do I feel like what I'm going through now is preparing me for stuff like? Yes. Again, like you can't have that conversation with somebody that doesn't have a foundation or has no kind of base, because that will only incite fear and have them running the opposite direction.
Well, we got here from asking about celebrity influence. Well, what happened? What happened?
It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that.
Bro, I literally just opened my phone to look back at what question we started with.
Yo, you didn't say nothing though, Ray.
I mean, y'all.
Come on, Mod.
Y'all just added a whole question to the whole video. Well, we even got no stats for this. We just got to throw this question in the middle. Just we ain't got no stats, just vibe.
Nah, go ahead and ask IG about it. Just go ahead and post it.
But the only thing is, like, for some people, it's not. Some things that certain people go through are not going to be strong for them. Like somebody's going to look at it like, damn, you had a trouble with stealing. Damn.
I want to know if it's biblical. Does God truly give his toughest battle to something? Is that biblical? I don't think it is.
But again, something is going to be tough. If LeBron was to play against D1 players, LeBron in the Drew League versus me in the Drew League, which is tougher?
It's going to be tougher for you, probably.
Exactly. There's levels to this.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes it different. The statement is correct. It's not politically correct, but it's correct. That statement doesn't cater to each and every person. Like it's not personalized, because something is going to be harder for one person, another thing is going to be harder for another. Communication is something I struggle with.
Say this, but it's like in the story of Job 2, chapter 1 tells you how great Job's life is. He was the richest man in the East. What if somebody been struggling since birth? Like, my parents gave me up. I've been in foster care. I had to get it out the mud. It seems like I've been God's toughest soldier since childhood. those are the people who sometimes don't make it to chapter 38. So I feel like an actor like Dan is just kind of like, yo, why was I the toughest? Since childhood, I was the toughest?
I mean, honestly, an article that I saw comparing the struggles can be problematic because I think in creating the hierarchy is just not great to do in terms of faith. And then another point it made was that, where does strength come from? So like you going through the struggles, even no matter how hard it may be and whether you get through or not, it's really not your strength anyway, if you're walking in faith or living in faith. So that being said, we maybe shouldn't even put this on ourselves that much. It might be a battle that you're going through, but like how much of it are you actually doing like on your own accord? I guess technically none of it really, if we're supposed to be relying on it. I did post the question.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. That's true. He's saying it's facts, but it's like, I just be thinking like, I work at an academy, I work at a school, and like you be hearing some of these kids' stories and things they've dealt with already by like 12, 13, 14. It's like, dang, like how you, and then you have to try to present Christ as like, yo, like he loves you. He's been there for you. He will be there for you. And then they tell you to be like, I didn't feel God in this situation. I didn't feel God like when my parents were being divorced. I didn't feel God. They just been dealt consequences. So then it's like, bro, they just been dealing with the consequences. And most of the time, it's like not their fault. It's just like them being dealt situations like, but the byproduct of maybe their parents or some of them have been like abused or whatever. Like they just been dealt a terrible hand. So then it's kind of like, give it up to God. I'm like, well, where's God been? I just been having to be tough. That's the point. That's the perspective. I've just been having to make it through. So then what?
And that's the problem with a lot of people that are that minister to others, right? We've gotten to a point where we generalize a lot of things, right? Some people been getting it out the mud. Some people been living a very comfortable Christian life. You can't minister those two demographics the same way. That's the situation where the Holy Spirit gonna have to guide your mouth. The Holy Spirit got to speak for you because there's no way if ministering to people was that easy, you could just generalize it and it just works. Oh, everybody would be Adventist.
Shut down the seminary. We don't need it.
Hey, save that bread. Save that bread.
I get you. I get you on that. Yeah, you definitely can't minister to both the same way. You definitely can't.
And that's why church is tough. That's why being a pastor is tough. People, I commend y'all. Being a pastor is tough because you don't know what you're getting in a congregation.
You don't.
But you still got to minister to them. And each sermon that you preach is going to hit one person different. It's going to hit another person different. And, sometimes God leads them to come to the pastor. Hey, pastor, what you mean by that?
What do you mean by that?
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you got Drewski going to your church? That's crazy.
Yo, listen, that's what I thought about. What do you mean by that?
All right. It's 2:00, and we only hit. Well, I guess we technically hit 3 questions, but since somebody decided to get off topic,
listen, it was on my heart.
It was on.
It's off the heart. Yeah.
Should you have to figure out what your partner wants? All right, so that's the original question because I have to add a clarification. Yes, 38%. No, 62%. The clarification I added based on a couple of DMs was, should you have to figure out what your partner wants if they communicate poorly? Yes, 33%. No, 67%. I guess the interpretation was like the partner is a capable adult, but just pretty much not holding up their end of the bargain in terms of communication.
Nev, go ahead, take this one, bro, because this hits home. This is personal for me.
This is personal. Well, this is about to be another half hour. All right, bro, I'm about to start putting timers.
No,
this about to take 30.
I'll be quick with it. I've been on both sides. I've had experience for both, where it's just kind of like I was expected to kind of pick up on the needs of my partner without it being verbally communicated like this is what you want. But if someone's bad at communicating, like, listen, I like to say I'm a simple-minded man. Tell me what you want, and I'll do my best to meet that need. There's some things that I may pick up on that, this would be good for you. But ultimately, like, I think we're both old enough. Like, I think this is an open enough relationship to where she could be like, okay, this is what I would like. With my fiance now, I think for the most part, she's done that. I will say I'm a bit like I said, like robotic. Like, all right, let's just get it done. Too much emotion on it. Like, if I know that this is what you want, then I'm gonna go out and do it, which is not always her favorite thing. But I feel like to a certain extent, that's just I seen like like my dad. If my mom wants something, like he really ain't gonna talk about it. He'll just do it. It's not. It may not be the most romantic thing. He tries, but it's like but he was just like, yo, this is what she wants. I'm gonna do it. So it's like that's kind of like for me. Like, is this what you want? This is the best way that I can find to do it. I'm gonna do it. But sometimes that doesn't always work. It's not always received well. But you learn to adjust.
Kind of like what Neff was saying. I've experienced both sides, and I've experienced both sides and struggled with one for myself. Right, previous relationship, I had to do a lot of figuring out what was needed. And then there was also that little gap where like she never experienced this. So it's like, oh shoot, I actually like this. But there's no way of knowing if I was doing a good job or I could have done better, all that stuff, right? So I was going through that John blind. Fast forward that, I get into my another relationship. She speaks. She communicates what she likes, what she doesn't like. And I'm not gonna hold you. That was overwhelming for me. To be very honest with you. Because for me already, I'm an only child and I was raised by a single parent. Talking about emotions was not a thing. Like I kept everything stayed within me. I was like, I'm feeling sad. Okay. What do I do about it? I'm trying to figure it out. Now, and I feel like this is just very important. Again, it requires work. You have to create a safe space for your significant other to express their needs and wants. Because especially from somebody coming from, like, granted, I'm not going to say I had the hardest reason why I keep to myself. I definitely can't say that, but that's me. That's what I do. What was done for me was, in my second relationship, a safe space was created. And granted, it took me time to finally just start saying what I didn't like or what I like or how I think things could be done or should be done, what I expect for myself. And that also comes with growing and learning about yourself. Because now I'm learning more about myself. I'm like, I need this to live. And the scariest thing about it, why communicating has to be part of it, because every day you change based on your environment. So let's say Ray had a stressful day in clinic, and Shorty's like, no. Like, yo, I just spent 8 hours in clinic. All right, like let me breathe. And one thing that was very important that was brought up to my attention, not brought to my attention, but was used. If significant other wanted to do something, let's say they wanted to go to the park. When I say taken aback when I heard this the first time, I don't really want to go to the park, but I'm choosing to because I love you. I was like, huh? What you mean by that? Like, I was so confused. I was like, so you don't want to go to the park? Like, I didn't know how to feel. Like, I didn't know, like, do I feel special?
Do I love you more, or am I just confused?
Right, I was lost. And it was just like, I stayed quiet that whole time. And she was just like, what's wrong? I don't know. I
don't know yet.
But here's the problem. In that situation was a moment I still was not able to express my feelings. So it was even worse because in that moment, I just stayed quiet.
Hey, bro, Dr. Umar, doesn't that seem suspicious? Doesn't that seem suspicious?
You don't find that suspicious? You don't find that suspicious?
You shouldn't have to figure out your significant other's wants/needs. I feel like it definitely should be expressed, but you also got to remember you have to create a safe space for that opening to be made.
Hashtag safe spaces. Hey man, 21st century. We believe in safe spaces these days. But no, I mean, I agree with y'all. Like,
not on Twitter,
unless you have like an inability to communicate, I feel like you gotta be able to, and I mean like literally an inability to communicate. Unless the person is nonverbal or that socially deficient, I really don't believe there's a reason that there should be a relationship where that kind of communication can't happen. If they can't communicate in the way that you need them to communicate, you might just need another partner. Because the first piece of a relationship advice I ever remember giving way back in middle school, this was with Raina back at church one day. She was like talking about this dude. She was having a hard time talking to him because she wanted to text him one way and he wanted to text her a different way. I think she wanted to text him more often and he just wouldn't respond as much. And the thing I said was, if you have mismatched, I think I said mismatched communication rates, I said specific. But generally, if you have mismatched communication styles, that's going to make the relationship very difficult, regardless of how compatible other things may be. I have a very open reception as far as communication styles, but the way I communicate is pretty consistent and kind of monotone, you could say. Like, I'll message, I mean, if it's significant other, I'll message you a couple of times a day, whatever. But that's just what it's going to be. I'm not necessarily going to go over, and I don't really fall off either. It's just what it is. If the significant other isn't comfortable with that, if you communicate too much, it's going to be seen as overbearing or overwhelming. If you communicate too little, it's going to be seen as disinterest or lack of attention. And either way, you breed or you plant seeds of whatever kind of discord, it's just unsustainable. So, like, yeah, as far as communication, like, if you two can't communicate in a way that needs to be communicated in order to have a healthy relationship, I feel like you honestly have to drop it. As tough as that is, because that can just mean that, you know, this girl, let's say y'all call dibs, right? She a dibs level type of girl, all right? And but she's dib level and she has to eat, right? But then she could throw down in the kitchen and she could sing. But this girl, will text you every single time that she moves from one place to another, and you just not with it. You're like, look, this is a lot of, well, here's the thing. She texts you and she wants you to respond every time. If it's too much, I mean, the cooking may be nice, the singing may be nice, but you just gotta say, look, I don't think this is gonna work, because the thing is, people will brush over that stuff early on and be like, oh, we'll like figure it out down the road, or like that's not that big of a deal. I mean, in the honeymoon phase, 3, 4, 5 months in, honeymoon phase is over, and now y'all really just trying to figure stuff out. And you trying to go to sleep, but they will not stop texting you at the end of the day because y'all haven't had y'all conversation for the day, and she feels slighted by that. Like, I don't think any of us here are willing to lose sleep over a relationship if it's not that crucial. If she's feeling depressed or that down, or if it has been like a day of zero communication, fine. But if it's been a day where y'all talk throughout the day and she's just like, oh, I want to talk, I need you to stay up, I'm sorry.
I got class at 7:30. I gotta be up by 5. Sorry, we'll talk tomorrow.
Yeah, honestly, for me personally, like, kind of talk about what Joe talked about. That's kind of me even now with my relationship. Like, I view things as like complaining. I don't like to ask for much. I feel like I'm a very simple guy. Like, the things that I can find enjoyable in my own hobbies, like, yo, it's football season. I got Ohio State. I got the Giants. I got my fantasy football. You know, I got a gym here. It's basketball season. Coaching the girls team. Trying to work out 3-4 times a week.
How's that going, by the way?
We won our first game, 29-8.
That was easy.
Yes, sir.
You know, that's actually my first like scheduled win outside of the tournaments at Southern or Andrews. So that was nice. These girls got me my first scheduled win from our season. But there are a lot of things that I can do by myself. Now, when it comes to her, like, since we started dating, I've been on, and I wholeheartedly mean this, if you're okay, I'm okay. She doesn't like that, because she was like, oh, you're a person. Sometimes you're not okay. Like, I get it. Like, when I had like all these deaths in the family, it's like, obviously there's points when I'm sad and whatnot. But ultimately, I'll tell myself, like, I'll be okay. Like, it's a part of life. We have a hope. Let's keep moving. So it's like, when it comes to asking for things, there are things that like I would want to happen, but I don't ask for them. But I also don't blame her for it. I tell myself, I'm like, if there's a missed opportunity, I'm aware enough to say, if only she knew, she probably would have done it. But since she doesn't know, I can't be mad at her. I don't want to be upset at myself for not saying anything. But I'm not going to die over it. Like, I rationalize it so much that I go through the emotions of like, dang, I wish I would have had this, but I don't. But she okay, so I'm all right. And I go about my day, you know?
And here's the difference between me and you on that one. Me, like a year or 2 years ago, all that stuff, I would get upset. Now, that's the maturity level. I would get upset. Like, I wouldn't communicate what I wanted and all that stuff, but then I would be upset, like kind of like at her. I'd be upset, and that's the difference. I was like, that's definitely just the difference between me and you, because like you would be like, that's a missed opportunity. Damn, could have asked that there. Nah, that in my head it was like,
But there's also another part to it. There are certain things I don't ask for because I know her limitations. There are certain things it's like it's not worth asking for because I know you don't want to do it. You would try to do it, you probably wouldn't be good at it. It would ruin it for me. Or it's just like I just based off of your life experience, like if you've gone this far without it, you don't need it. And I've gone this far without it. I don't necessarily need it. More like a fantasy or something like that. Or it's just kind of like, it'd be nice if we could do this, but I know it's not your thing. It'd be like, yo, like if we went, I love Ohio State. It's my dream to go to the game. It's at the Horseshoe. She doesn't watch football. It'd be nice if she was a football fan. It's something we could do together. But she'd go for me, but that's not what I want. So it's like, what's the point of asking her to go with the game with me? It would literally just be like, go by myself. Wait, go ahead, Ray.
No, I was saying, like, yeah, you'll be out there for 3-4 hours in the cold with a sport that she may not know anything about. I mean, she'll lean into you for most of the time, probably to stay warm, but that's about it on her part.
Here's the thing with that. A lot of women, crazy enough, they want that though. It doesn't make sense sometimes, but they want it because a lot of women are they're inclusive. So for us as guys, you know, we'd be like, I'm chilling. I could sit here and play video games and or watch whatever. Let's say time down the line, why did you never ask me to play video games with you? Hey, nigga, you don't play. But it's just the thought, like, oh, you want to include me with something that you do. Because at the end of the day, yes, we care, like, if they good, we good. For them, if it's something that they like, I'm full sending it. I want to be part of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not really a fan of football. But best believe if that's what's supposed to join a flag football league, I'll be on the stands. That's my guy right there. That's my guy. That's my guy. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They love to be included into that. When was the last time, before you got into a relationship, when was the last time you really thought about somebody else, like including them?
Like when I was
in the things that you do? Yeah.
Never. I was fine with just rocking dolo.
Exactly. Where have we gotten to a certain point where a lot of women are like, I'm just gonna go do this dolo? They include somebody. No, single. Granted, like, you know, there's obviously some measures where some people think like, okay, if I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna have my girls with me for protection, kind of like, yeah, that's how we think. A lot of girls don't think like that. It's not necessary for protection. Some girls do, but they're inclusive. They want somebody. If I'm gonna enjoy this, somebody else gonna enjoy this. That's really a lot of their mindsets.
True.
If we invited somebody like, oh, this is my boys, they like this. I'm cool with them. But damn sure I'll go by myself too and be okay.
I've taken myself to the movies many a time, matinee. Pay my $8. I'm having a grand old time.
That inclusive stuff, they love that. They
do.
Right.
Like when I'm watching my games, she indulges me. Like she's there. She likes watching me watch the game. But I know exactly. Like if she's next to me, she might look up from what she's doing. She's like, "Oh, are they winning? Is this a good play?" Like based on how excited I'm getting, or if I'm like, "Yo, we can do a pick," whatever.
Yeah.
We just watched the game a little bit, and I was like, a lot more angry plays than happy plays. But in years past, when we took care of business, a lot more happy plays.
Oh my God. I've had to kind of get used to. I still need to get used to.
You and me both. I feel like slowly I'm trying to, like, especially if it's like communicating things I don't like. I try to, but it's hard to get me to say like, I don't even use the word don't like. I always say I'm not a fan. Because in my mind, it's I don't like, instantly it's complaining. Mentally, I'm like, yo, why are you being a punk? Why are you complaining about this? If you were on your deathbed tomorrow, would it matter? And I'd be like, nah, probably not. And so it's like, to get me to say I don't like something to her, like, bro, that's literally how I rationalize things. Like, how much is this gonna matter in the grand scheme of things? And if it really bothers me outside of the life or death thing, if she keeps doing this for the next 3 years, how am I gonna feel about it? Then if it's like that, then I'll muster up the courage to say something. But even when I do talk about it, it's just, there's still a part of me that's just like such a little complaining. And it's just a mental hurdle I have to do my best to get over. But it's just like, your life is easy, your life is simple. What you really complain about? Still got to work on that, but working on it.
All right. Well, there's our half hour, even though I guess it wasn't all Josiah's.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, so on to question technically number 6 and 7. This is another two-parter because we had to clarify. So the original question was, should the law determine our standards? Yes was 11% and no was 89%. Now for this one, the clarification question make it interesting. Because the clarification was, should our standards determine the law? So this is the reverse question. But the yes was 44% and the no was 56%. So generally speaking, people don't think the law should determine our standards, but people don't necessarily think our standards should determine the law either. So the real question is, what does one do with this information?
Just what do
this is tough. This is really tough.
Well, these weren't easy questions because no, that's not what we do. Well, the fun questions are easy, but that's what happens.
Because if you really want to go based off of standards to create law, a lot of people will be pissed off. But then also with that, the law would be changing like daily if it was by standards, because how people feel like the law has to be politically correct to handle each and every ethnicity, race. That's a lot. That's not going to happen. That can't happen, right? So if our standards is what created the law, there will be chaos.
Well, I mean, there's the general, everyone, I guess, does have different specific principles, but this is still in the context of like, a voting democracy where if there's a majority that agrees on something, you still would determine the rules being made. Not necessarily too many things would pivot per se. For example, a lot of what has changed recently has been more social stuff, marriage, social programming, things like that. But the criminal laws, now outside of what they've done with, I guess, drug convictions, for the most part, criminal laws aren't necessarily as malleable per se. Real estate, for example, or business laws. These things do come and get voted on every week or every year, especially. But it's not necessarily like we'd be recreating the Constitution every 2 years by voting according to standards.
The first question is like, whose standards? Like,
right.
The standards of the people that vote.
I mean, Christians think like it's their morality that should run this country. This country was built on, the Christian ideals, leaving tyranny, Britain, blah, 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 blah. But if we're based on current day, whose truth are we going by? As far, even with the criminal stuff, there's some things that are malleable, like mandatory sentencing. Should the sentencing for someone selling drugs be the same as someone who has a violent crime? If I've been caught selling drugs 3 times and someone commits one violent crime, why are we getting the same mandatory? Why could possibly somebody who has an assault charge get a plea deal that's better than me and just trafficking? Or someone who has tax fraud. I feel like evading taxes to a certain point shouldn't be a jail type thing in my mind. It's just like
that's the government's fault.
They take it out of my taxes, get it from my job. Y'all
ain't get my money. Take my money. Don't take my time,
bro. Like, you're gonna put me in jail with people who maybe have no remorse for their crimes, and it's like, bro, all I did is I didn't fill a paper by April 15th. Like, bro, we are not the same.
I wasn't in the street. These people was in the street,
bro. So it's just kind of like, but it's like, should our standards determine the law? To a certain extent, I think yes. You move as fast as your slowest person. We all here can drive relatively a safe speed to where we get where we're going. But that 16-year-old who just got his license and his parents got him a Hellcat, nah, we need to post the speed limit for this joke, because there's not enough trust for us to think like, yo, he's not going to show off, try to burn out. He see Joe's car next to him. He revving up right next to Joe. Joe's just like, bro, it's 7 o'clock. I'm just trying to go to class. But he was just like, he look at Joe's car. He's like, I can take this guy. Then he speed off and he hit somebody pulling out to the, like, we have to move as fast as our slowest person. So to a certain extent, some standards like that could be like just preventative measures should be put in place. Like, big thing, not trying to extend the conversation, but like for guns, however you feel about it, if they're going to be out there, some people should not have guns. So let's put a system in place so that some people who we all agree should not have guns don't have guns. Whatever that system is, let those people on the hill deal with it. But there has to be some standards, yes, should determine some laws. I do have a random question though for you, Ray.
Oh my God.
It's going to be a quick one. From doing this med school degree, what's a law you think that we should have in place that we don't for the medical field?
we should just have government funded insurance. This country has enough money for people to have government funded insurance so that whatever people need to go to the hospital or go to a doctor's office and have done for them can be done, so that we don't have people ending up with kidney failure or liver failure because they couldn't get either the medications that they needed to get, or they couldn't afford to just go to a doctor and pay for even the copay for their visit, or get a surgery they might have needed to get and just didn't have the funds to do that. There's a ton of money that goes into healthcare. I'm pretty sure the healthcare cost is in the hundreds of billions per year, if I'm not mistaken. US healthcare in 2020 was $4.1 trillion. $4.1 trillion for a country of less than 400 million people, obviously all of whom aren't working. So the fact that people are expected to shoulder thousands of dollars a year in economic burden when people are still struggling to figure out how to take care of their mortgage and light bill is insane. And the problem with poor health funding is that it has a worse effect in the long term on the healthcare system itself, because these people that don't get help now become early sick patients in the future that we now have to spend more money on taking care of in the back half of their life. Because heart failure medications, these procedures that people have to do, these things add up. All these tests and stuff, a lot of this stuff adds up. Now, are those prices inflated? Definitely. But even if they were normally priced, there's still so much money that stuff costs. And it just gets shifted to people. And I'm like, I personally just believe a government is responsible as leaders to vote in the interest, or to make policies in the interest of their people. And it seems that these lawmakers just don't abide by that. But I find it hard to believe in this country where there's a war for people's money in this country. Amazon is fighting for people's money. Netflix is fighting for people's money. Starbucks is fighting for people's money because of all the consumer psychology and stuff that's out there. Consumers are losing. This year set the record for Black Friday spending at like $9 billion a year. So consumers are losing the war. And I think when it's clear, like when a kid's losing a video game, when it's clear that someone's losing, you got to help them out. In the video game, you give someone a handicap or you restart the game. But in this case, you have to look at these consumers and say, look, y'all are just in a tough spot. A lot of this has to do with the policies that have been in place economically that have allowed people to be put in this position. And these people just need help. Like, I think overall this country needs economic help, and the government is the one that's in the position to put that into law, and they're just not doing it. And I think it's just a gross failure of leadership on their part. So that's a long-winded version of saying I think we need to have government-funded insurance because people need to be able to take care of themselves. It's literally better for the country if they're able to. I mean, I do think that standards should at least inform law. However, I do think that because America's foundationally built on concepts of freedom and coexistence and plurality, there are certain laws that have to allow for certain leeway. For me, the question of abortion, I've started to ask people, do you ask me are you asking about abortion as a moral topic or as a legal topic? Because morally speaking, there's the moral position on abortion, but then there's legally speaking how abortion plays out. And the thing is, legally speaking, abortion becomes a very dangerous thing when it's outlawed, but continue to be done anyway. But morally speaking, biologically, they found that pretty much you can't consistently define a growing embryo into a fetus as a non-human at any point, because biologically speaking, it's of human origin, so it has to be human. And trying to define personhood independent of humanity is a very slippery slope that usually adds in non-human beings into a question about personhood, which we all would kind of agree that personhood is about humans. You know, some people write wills for their dogs, but that's a whole different conversation. So with that being the case, I think there's two parts of it to look at. And the thing is, I don't think that a lot of, and because this is mostly Christian conversation, I don't think a lot of Christians really think about or even want to kind of look at that nuance and be like, oh, maybe some things can be allowed, My thing is, something can be allowed and not be done. For example, with basketball right now, you might have seen some videos or something. Carrying happens a lot in the NBA. Dudes carrying, do stuff all the time. Now, some of the professional, like Donovan Mitchell, was like, yeah, everybody does it. Now, me being in the league, I could be like, oh yeah, everyone does it, so I'll do it. Or I could say, yeah, I know people do it, but I'm still not going to. And I think the false conflation that a lot of Christians make in lawmaking is that, oh, something being legal means it's encouraging people to do it. And that's just not true. Something being legal means people are legally allowed to do it, but the government doesn't encourage much anything, and they're not really supposed to. I mean, they're supposed to be the government. They have the leaders that we vote for, I guess, can be one side or the other. But the government itself is supposed to just be the government. We offer this, do what you want with what we offer. So with that being the case, I feel like that nuance is important for this kind of like topic of standards, laws, and how they should interact.
Indubitably.
Shout out to Kawhi.
Indubitably.
All right, that boy Josiah just got refueled, it looks like.
That's right. Yeah, Rainbow's food truck was outside. He was like, I had to go.
Heard the ice cream truck coming down the block.
Bro, is the ice cream truck still a thing?
Not up here. Not where I'm at.
Yeah, I haven't heard the ice cream truck around here in a minute.
When was the last time you seen one?
I have seen one, actually. I saw one this year. I just haven't seen one. It was like a few months ago, though.
Oh, well, okay. So they're still operational, all right?
No, they're around. It's definitely not like what it was as kids.
No, you're not feeding your family from the ice cream truck.
We have our last serious question. Now we got two fun questions. So, last serious question. Is religion a good thing? This was actually a 2/3 split. 2/3 said yes, 1/3 said no.
Ooh, this is tough.
Yeah, we haven't done this in a while, so we had to come back with the heat.
Religion. I say religion is a good thing in terms of creating a construct, creating like a standard, right? But what we do naturally as human beings is we take it too far, or we by the law, like hammering that joint in, like the Pharisees and Sadducees. The story where the Pharisees went to Jesus and his disciples when he was picking the wheat to eat. That's the main thing that sticks in my head, because I mean, obviously, like the miracles, that's a feat that's not accomplished without the help of God, right? The Pharisees and Sadducees were so blinded by religion that for people to pick food to eat was a sin. So you mean to tell me that if I have my own garden, I'm making a salad, I got some fresh tomatoes on the vine outside.
Should have picked them on Friday.
It's a sin for me to go.
Should have picked them on Friday.
Exactly. Should have picked them Friday. What were you doing on Friday?
Bro, what you had that whole afternoon.
Go take your tomatoless salad and go eat it from the tomato. Be like, you live another day.
Some of us get so caught up in religion that we refuse to see the love of Jesus. One of my boys, Christian, he's from Jersey. You know, if y'all remember Josh Paulos. Yeah. That's one of JP's boys. He posted something that said, some of y'all didn't try God, y'all tried church. And when the church hurt you, or you found out that liars and fake people also go to church, you almost concluded that God wasn't real, or that Christianity was a joke.
Yo, I saw that.
If people can make you walk away from God, you were never in a relationship with him. You were just in religion. Bro, I heard that. I was like, dang. That's why I said religion is just like a base.
Yeah.
The 10 Commandments was a base. Mm-hmm. But we saw the base. But what happened when we went deeper into the 10 Commandments? It became so deep. Honor thy mother and father. Why? That thy days may be long upon the land that the Lord thy God has given thee. Right. Like there was, on top of this stuff, there was more to it. There's blessing on it, right? Mm-hmm. And that blessing is where we show where we show who God is. That story with picking food was very tough for me, but it does kind of go back to when manna fell from heaven.
Yeah,
with children of Israel, and God said only pick it on Friday. That, I guess, would you say that's where they were coming from? Like that was the standard that they stuck by.
Probably that was considered the standard. I mean, the standard was just like Sabbath is supposed to be with God, and you're not supposed to do any work. And I guess because food management, food picking, whatever, was something people did during the week, they probably were just like, well, that's work.
Wasn't there a point where for some Jewish people you can't walk a certain distance because that would be considered work to go to the synagogue?
Ultra Orthodox Jews, the converted distance, I believe, like a quarter of a mile is like the limit that they can walk in the confines of the Sabbath, something like that.
That's insane.
It's like why Ultra Orthodoxy is like the food gets warmed up on Friday and it doesn't get warmed again like going into the Sabbath. Anything that has to be on is left on from Friday, including like lights and stuff. And I think there's like the walking distance and there's like a couple of other things. Ultra Orthodoxy is like really tight on that kind of stuff.
That's tough. I mean, granted, I'm not here to badmouth or bad talk about other people's religion, and I have respect for people's ideas and ideologies. That's tough. This is really tough. We see a little bit here and there for us now, and as Christians, some people, you can't go to the park on Sabbath. You can't go for a run or a walk. Like, what? I'm not going to lie to you. This is going to be hilarious. I love my mom to death, but this right here threw me over the edge, right? It was Sabbath morning. My hair, I'm getting ready for church. My hair is dirty. It's dry, all that stuff, right? I'm like, yo, what? I woke up the next morning scratching. I was like, dang, bro. I go downstairs to get some apple cider vinegar. So, so I can wash my hair, right? My mom tells me, is this something you should do? Is this something I should do today? So I'm supposed to go to church. Do we not take a shower on Sabbath?
A nappy boy. That's...
Do we not wash our face on Sabbath? What really frustrated me was the words afterwards was, this is seen depending on your relationship with God. I was like, to wash my hair before going to church.
Yes.
I'm going to go to church like this, have flakes dropping out in the church? Like, what? I was so confused and utterly shocked. I was like, there's no way this is the level we got to. I was so shocked. I didn't know what to do, to say. I was like, huh?
Man,
that was your mother's interpretation on what you can do or what you can't do on a Sabbath. Everybody's is different. Like, and I feel like, not to go on a tangent, but I feel like that's one of our problems with Adventism to a certain extent. There's too much individuality. Like, there's not enough, to a certain extent, I don't think there's enough uniformity with certain things. Because your mom at that point, like, yo, like, don't do this, Joe, on the Sabbath. If she knew somebody else did it, she might be like, come on, man, give God more respect. Not in a malicious way, but she'd be like, yo, like, let's honor the Sabbath. But your mom would be like, yo, Joe, after we're done eating, we're going to go walk around the neighborhood with digestion. Let's just go outside. Somebody else might look at your mom and be like, come on, man, I thought you respect the Sabbath. Both are going to claim to both be respecting the Sabbath. And both are going to teach other people that's how you observe the Sabbath. And so this kind of leads into me, like, is religion a good thing? I do think it could be a good thing. It's just enacted wrong. It's enacted wrong. And let's pick on our own religion. We think it's just, again, it's a lot of Eurocentric, old school Millerite theology still prevailing today. And that's not where... Sorry. And that's not where, yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny to think about. I was like, yo, listen, if my boy Theodore can see all the women in those denim skirts again, listen, my man, Cloud9.
Not the denim.
The denim skirt. Yo, like I said, I work at the academy. I be making fun of these girls all the time. But look at you, your ankles all out. Like, yo, you just, so this, you got nothing else to wear, huh? They're like, D. I was like, Dean, what are you talking about? That's how they dressed back in the day. And I was like, that's when women were women. They showed your ankle. It's like, is that your clavicle I see? Oh my God. One of the girls I walked up to her and was like, listen, you want to find a nice high value man? You can't be showing you can't have your shoulders showing out in these streets. Come on, man. What high value man wants to see it? A lot of the things in our religion that just be like turning people away. And that quote where your buddy's just like, yo, a lot of y'all tried church. But at the same time, though, I don't think God is against church. And I think to a certain point, some people come to grow that relationship with God because of a good church family. But likewise, I feel like a lot more people look at God and be like, yo, this is your man's? I don't want no part of it. And that's where you look at religion and be like, ugh. Like, and a lot of people at Andrews, I used to hear this a lot. I'm not really religious, but spiritual. I'm like, that's cool. But I feel like religion is not all bad to where you have to separate the two. I feel like that's part of the reason, because the people that are spiritual don't really stick around the religion enough to enact change. But I understand, like during the whole GC talks and stuff like that, there's a lot of people that shared their displeasure, but like, yo, it's 2022 and they still don't listen. So I understand why people walk away from religion, but keep the spirituality, keep the heart of it, keep the relationship with God. But at the same time, those people who are stuck, that younger generation that gotta go to church, and you're not there, some of them may not even end up being spiritual at the end. You who has gone through it, like my fiance, like she has this thing, in my mind, I feel like she has like a low-key vendetta with the church, the pastors, whatever. She'll tell you differently, blah, blah, blah. I remember I telling her one time, I was like, yo, if you don't come to church, or if you stop working in the church, you don't be like, oh, it hurt. And I'm like, what happens to the kids after you? She'd be like, oh, whether or not I'm there, the church is still going to go. I'm like, that's not the point. I was like, but the skills, the gifts that God has given you, you just keeping it to yourself. You want to be spiritual. But there's some people in that religion that could come to know God in their own way if you're there using the gifts that he's giving you. If you just, I'm just going to go Saturday morning, I'll see you next Saturday and stuff like that. Come on, man. Because what happens then? We just get the same generation that we got, maybe even worse. Because, like I said, they might not even end up being spiritual. There's bad in the religion. There's bad in every religion because it's men running.
Man-made.
Man-made to a certain extent. But at the same time, the good people that could do something, the good people that really care about people and care about them securing their own salvation, you can't just sit on the sideline and just let it go to ruin. And that's why I appreciate the people that I had growing up in the church that made AY fun, that took us to those events and things like that, and took the time and their own money to pour into us. And it breaks my heart a little bit that a lot of people I grew up with in church aren't in church now, or don't have, or from the outside looking in, it looks like they don't really have a real relationship with the Lord because they focused on the people who didn't want them there or didn't want the best for them instead of people that gave what they had. And that's what kills me a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, the negative reigns, sings louder than the positive.
You got to look past the trees sometimes, man. Look past that and look at the people who care about you, the people that are there. Like, you might go to a real conservative church, Josiah walk in, and somebody, that old church mother, like, oh, come on, Josiah, why you got the earrings on? But then there's somebody going to be like, oh my God, Joe, I haven't seen you forever. How are things going? I'm in chiropractic school. Oh my gosh, I'm going to start praying for you. I feel like you should remember that lady more than any of the glances you'll get, than any of the people that came up to you and be like, oh, come on, Joe, we didn't raise you like this. Or like, why can't we remember that lady that said, I'm going to pray for you? It's good to see.
That's human nature, though. I mean, for me personally, I can still tell you about the majority of my missed, football plays that I've had going back for years. And I mean, though I play pickup football, I've scored literally hundreds of touchdowns since I guess, got good at football. And I can still remember drops years later. Like that, and that happens. Artists will have this when they get 98% positive comments and 2% negative comments. So when you show up to a play now, it's 90% negative comments and 10% positives, and people already latch on to negatives. When you got that many more negatives, you're just like, well, this is just humans just get impacted by negativity different. Now, whether that's something we all need to work on, probably, but that seems to be a consistent theme in human nature. So I think us knowing that, we have to be wiser with what we say. That's what I think it is. And I think we have to be able to say, when someone comes back to church, I'm happy you're at church. Not everything has to be said, even if it is something you may feel. You can just say, yo, I'm happy you're back. Or, whatever the situation is, doesn't have to be church necessarily. You can just say, yo, it's great to
and then
see
avoid the gossiping afterwards.
Well, definitely avoid the gossip and bring up stuff if you have to. But I think also in terms of what we bring up, I think that the Bible does leave room for certain things to be matters of conviction. But the thing is, things that are matters of conviction get turned into fundamental beliefs by people very readily. Things about, what kind of dress the praise team leaders can wear. Those things get turned into fundamental operational principles. It's not, oh, well, her dress cuts off at her thighs and the other person's dress doesn't. It becomes, you can't go up here unless check. And it just begins to shift the focus, because your clothes, last time I checked, don't determine how well you can sing. So if you feel more satisfied having a praise team up there that's a lesser praise team, but they look the part, if that's what matters to you, then more power to you. I think it's honestly a disgrace to push away people that have obvious gifts for fairly superficial reasons, and then either claim that you're doing the right thing or feel as if you're doing God's work in not allowing certain people to use the gifts God clearly gave them.
Yeah, and I don't think everything, I want to clear up, I don't think everything needs to be uniform. I just feel like some things are. And I feel like if certain things shouldn't be said, because that was my biggest problem, especially at Andrew. I noticed it. If I go to one place, the pastor would be like, welcome to one place where we here, one place try come to worship God in spirit and in truth. One place is one way. I go to PMC, Pastor Dwight, second service, would be like, welcome to Pioneer Memorial at Seventh-day Adventist Church, where we here worship in spirit and in truth. Then I go to New Life, and I don't know if Pastor Danielle would, or a chap at the time would be like, welcome to, whoever's doing welcome, be like, yo, welcome to New Life Fellowship, where we worship in spirit and in truth. How many truths are there? Who's telling the lie?
I mean, are there different truths though? Because I think
worship, but that's confusing to the
though.
Non-believer. No, take it from the perspective of you're inviting a non-believing friend to church, and you happen to go to all these churches. You're gonna be like, well, Ray, I prefer going to one place. I felt more comfortable there. I didn't like the atmosphere of those other places. But they all claim to worship in spirit and in truth. And if that person, I'd like to think, let's think ahead. If that person goes to one place and chooses to be baptized there, the church they're going to be looking for is one place, because I know those other places don't worship in the way that nurtured me.
We can't get skewed too much by the Andrew's experience, however, because Adventists on campus and off of campus are very different. So but I feel like it still remains, Ray. People still say we worship here in spirit and in truth, and they all look different, which is fine sometimes. But remember, what was one of those things that they said in the AU It's Time video? We want you to apologize and to stop demonizing the way we worship. That was one of the things that was brought up. And imagine, they said it's that Eurocentric Adventism that kind of casts aspersions on the way that we worship. So if that be the case, in the grander scheme of things, even outside of Andrews, there are churches that look down on how other churches worship. That's why some churches, like Michigan Conference, is said to be one of the most conservative conferences. You'd be hard-pressed to find a drum set, even a box drum, in those churches. But come to Southeastern, you'll be hard-pressed to find a church that doesn't have a drum set. And if you ask those pastors or these church members, like, yo, they don't really worship up there at Village Church. Come to
they talk bad.
Come to Zion. This is where you'll find a good worship experience there. That's where it's different.
I think there are different versions of the Christian experience. I think we just have to leave room for that. I'm not sure how much room has to be left with that. But you, me, Josiah, all have different ways of how we go about at church. Me, Josiah, and another friend, Mike, went to a Ty Tribbett concert. And I was enjoying the vibe of the Ty Tribbett concert, but I wasn't going as well. I mean, Josiah, Mike, they were kind of more into it. I wasn't really moving. But we, even as a group, weren't moving as much as some of the other people that were in the audience there. Mm-hmm. But we were all there in the same experience, but experience it different. That's just what it is. So because churches tend to have like-minded people come together, you end up with what looks like isolated worship, so to speak. But the reality is, if you had stuck all these people together, what you would see is what we had like at that concert, where if you had, let's say, a one-place style worship at PMC and everyone fit in there, because that's the one place everyone can fit in, you would see one place people, they'd be cool with it. New Life, that type of worshiper or whatever, they might be, up with one place people, maybe even more energetic. And then you have PMC people that be like, I guess this is nice for a change, but like the worship, like it's a different experience for people. I think we can't necessarily try to look for too much in terms of uniformity in that, because the worship has to come from the individual. And I think however it comes, you just kind of have to go with it. And that's why it sometimes in church when people are just like, oh, y'all don't look like y'all are having a good time, or like, well, I mean, sometimes people aren't, but it's like you look like this or that's just like, man, look, people will look how they look, but whatever is going in their heart, you may not be able to see, but that's okay. The different services on campus, you know, people will get in comparison wars and cultural wars. Man, look, if Adventism for you or Sabbath for you is a nice, peaceful, classical style worship service, and that draws you closer to God, so be it. If New Life draws you closer to God, so be it. But we can't go around saying, well, this one draws you closer to God than this one. No, that's just not how faith works.
Look, man, the Adventist system is like, I would say this until the day I die. It's like the league, the NBA. You have different conferences, you have different churches in the conference.
I see what you
I never even looked at it like that. You got divisions.
Think about it.
Conferences.
Think about it. Hey, the pastors be getting traded sometimes. Like, think about it.
Dog.
Not traded. Brother, like ministry is like going to the Lakers. It's like a storied franchise.
Who
is it now? Snell there? Snell?
Yeah.
Snell leaves?
Pastor Bird saw was getting better money, better contract from the different team in Texas.
But he said, I need to go to the West.
I gotta go.
He goes to the Western Conference.
How to be easy. And he said, I need to go try the Western Conference, bring a chip there.
Yeah, bring the chip there. No one's gonna be able to change my mind on that. I'm sorry. But the congregation is obviously the fans, and with each and every fan, you get a different experience with the game. Like you have some people that look at the game analytically. You have some people that look at the game just to be like, oh, the ball goes in the hoop. Some people go to the game. That's a nice looking brother there. You know what I'm saying? Like
Jordan Poole.
Jordan people
Poole in church.
And right. And some people go to the game to show that they were at the game. They don't care about the game. They just came to show Instagram flick. I was at the game. So like that's listen. Ever since I made that analogy in my head like 2 years ago, it's never changed. And I'm seeing more of it every single day.
Stealing that. I'm stealing that 100%. 100%.
But you get your
seminary like the G League.
Seminary the G League.
Yo, if you get sponsored, that's you getting drafted, and it's saying develop in the G League, and then you see if you get called up.
Yeah, you just took it another level. I wasn't even thinking of that. I wasn't even thinking of that.
Missionaries, if overseas missionaries, go play
overseas players, overseas players, bro. Yeah, so like everybody gets their own experience from the game, and for some person, like let's say Spike Lee, all about the church right now, but guess what? The church still downhill. Like I mean, you get all those aspects with church. For me specifically, there was one pastor we had. What's his name, right?
Andrew.
You remember Pastor Badillo? I ain't gonna hold you. He's one of the one and only white pastors that I really listened to. I'm being very honest with you, right? I got baptized by that
White Nelson like that.
I got baptized by that guy. Actually, I used to like the White Nelson too, but I don't know, it kind of faded for me. Once I actually went to Andrew, I'm not gonna lie to you. But that's neither here nor there. Pastor Badillo presented the message. For a white pastor, he presented the message that spoke to me a lot better than every other white pastor I've ever experienced. Pastor Snell right now, Pastor Snell is my top 5 pastor. Just because he's able to present the scripture or present the word in a way that a lot of the youth are able to understand, but he's also able to mix in for the older people to understand. Pastor Badillo is very old school, but how he presents it, it sticks with me more so. Is there a difference between the pastors? Yeah, well, other than them being white and black, yes. But that difference is the difference that I quote unquote like need for me to receive that scripture or to receive the message. That I could say that's going to sit with me a lot longer than Ted Wilson. All right, the only person I can think of right now.
My boy Theodore, all right? I ain't gonna leave my boy Theodore alone.
It all depends. It really all depends. Some people don't like Braun, but some people love how he plays the game.
Say it out loud. I don't like it. All right.
You know,
that's but I don't like.
You sell your fancy food, but you don't like.
That's hey, we playing for the chip.
Listen, the church is the Adventist system is it's the SDA, right? 7-day association. I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It's a 7-day association.
7-day association, yeah.
National 7-day association, the NSDA, bro.
NSDA is crazy,
bro. And I guess what? Now, to strengthen the overseas now, right? They're coming over to America, bro. You see it? I'm just happy somebody else to see it. I'm just happy somebody else. That took it another level, which I love it.
My God.
I'm so happy y'all see it now because
you done changed Neff's life.
Like, bro, honestly, I'm thinking like, yo, like the if they already have a treasurer, you know, you got your secretary, you see, yo, the elders, elders are like the assistant coaches, deacons are like the trainers.
I like that. I like that.
I don't know what else to, you know, AYs like the AY youth pastors are like in the collegiate leagues.
Gosh,
the collegiate, yeah. And guess what? The NBA, the SDA system looks to the youth to see who they're gonna draft to get to the bro.
Oh my goodness!
Preach on it, man.
It's too thick. It's too thick.
It's too thick.
It's too thick, boy. The analogy is too thick.
It's too thick.
I've told to people about it. They're like, bro, nah, you dumb for that, bro. It's like, what?
As soon as he said it,
high class.
Wheels returning.
All right. Well, we gonna scoot along to the last couple. So the first one, which I think we're on the same page about this one. Pineapple on pizza was also a 2/3 split. Oh, yes. we got yes on pineapple pizza.
That's sweet. That's sweet and savory, bro. It's you can't beat that.
I feel like the same people who like pineapple on pizza like mint chocolate chip. All right, and next time you have some chocolate, go get your Colgate.
No.
All right, go get your Colgate in your bathroom, and then just eat that. Your own mint chocolate chip. There you go.
Mint chocolate chip different. That's different. That's different vibes. There's no sweet.
I feel like those people are one and the same.
That's fresh and sweet. Fresh and sweet. That's different. You know how this fresh and fit? It's fresh and sweet. You know, the other dude.
No. Pineapple does not belong on pizza. You have so many other things to go on there. No.
I gotta go with pineapple on pizza.
Wait, as someone who was born in like the pizza capital of the state, I feel like this is high treason.
Is it?
It is.
I don't know. I think pineapple on pizza, and I mean for me, you know, I do pineapple on pizza with the barbecue base. Listen, if you hit,
you talking.
You're not allowed back in Staten Island, Ray.
Don't let them Italians. They don't need me over there.
Don't let them Italians ever see you up there.
But I was born in the Bronx, and that's where I will be associated. So
BXO Day with the bodegas. Are you putting pineapple on your chopped cheese too? Huh?
And chopped cheese, my bacon egg and cheese.
Yeah, bacon egg and cheese on those. Huh? Are you putting pineapple on there?
Bacon egg and cheese.
I mean, it's a shot. Egg and cheese croissant with a pineapple on top. I mean, hey, you know, who knows?
Hey, that might be different. That's different.
Hey,
that's different, right?
You also want to defile the gazebo breakfast burritos with pineapple? Huh? Is that
whoa? That's OD. That's OD. You're taking it too far now.
Do it on everything.
I don't know about pineapple.
You're taking it too far now.
Nah. If you're gonna
we just talk about taking religion too far, and now look at this man. Take it.
Just like a pastor, man. Just like a pastor.
Y'all was out here talking reckless with the pizza, talking about it's sweet and savory. Go ahead, put it on everything savory then.
All right. Well, this one was a bit more interesting. I don't even know where this question came from. But anyway, more annoying, fly or mosquito? Mosquito was 73% on this one.
Fly.
Mosquitoes.
Flies are more annoying, bro.
Mosquitoes bite. Think about it. The bumps.
No. Here's the thing. See that's expected, right? And what you do? A fly is more annoying because you buzz. You try to smack. You cannot touch that thing, bro. You miss 100% of the time with the fly. Unless you use the
miss 100%. You might.
Unless you use the fly swatter. No, like if a fly lands on your body If a fly lands on your body, you missing the fly. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah. Honestly, I would
I'm
much
not
rather
killing
kill
a fly on my skin
than a fly though. A fly a little too thick of a bug to just be like swat. Like,
yeah,
can't do that.
you
Can't do that.
no, not on the skin. No, bro. Hey, man, give me a good
for
dish towel though. A good dish towel.
Yeah, yo, listen, let's go.
Yeah, okay.
Let's go.
Yeah. But that's the thing, mosquito, you can use your hand to do whatever you need to. But with the fly, you have to use something. You have to use a tool.
Yeah, but that's fine. You can always use a tool, but it's like mosquitoes don't fight fair. They jump you. They about that gang line. Mosquitoes jump you.
But that's not annoying. That's not annoying. That's not the annoying. It's frustrating. That's frustrating. That's not annoying.
That's annoying to me.
The annoying part is a fly that you just can't touch, bro. That they're moving around and it's taunting you. That's annoying.
I could stomach the fly, not the mosquito.
That's not the question though. It says annoying. You said
which is more annoying. But they're both annoying. But the mosquito wins for me.
You could deal more with the fly than a mosquito.
Yes, 100%.
For me, I think the math is both can fly by your ear and be annoying. So they're push on that. The fly, and this is the fly will be more annoying if you have food, something for it to land on. But that's only conditional. Mm-hmm. Mosquitoes, on the other hand, will land and try to bite you. And that's not conditional. Unless you're covered up, a mosquito will land and try to bite you, period. So
it chooses violence every time.
I think I have to go statistically with the mosquito just because it's the ear and the biting. The biting is really what kind of puts over the top for me. I'm not going to lie. Like for me, if a mosquito gets in my room, I'm sick because now I have to worry about my ear.
Like I can't sleep, I can't eat.
Bruh, one time I got bitten on my face while I was in bed going to sleep. I'm like, bruh, ain't no way. Like I can't even sleep in peace, dog. Mosquitoes will fly around and they might go by your ear if they feel like it. Yeah. Mosquitoes just trying to be close. I'm like, dude, this is.
Yo, it happens at the end of the day when you're going to bed. Ray looked up to like, God, I'm not this tough. God, I'm not this tough. Take this away.
Let this cup pass from me, but not my will. But
oh man, yo, I'm still thinking about like, bro, I really be getting on these girls, bro. Just be like, wow, you're just showing your shins today, huh? Is that type of day? You just be like obscure body parts. And be like, come on, Dean. Like, oh, you're so old fashioned. I was like, back in my day, you don't know. Yo, you remember those? I was like, yo, you remember those platform shoes girls you wearing back in the day? These girls don't know. Those SEA girls used to go through it. Can't wear pants on Sabbath.
Oh, speaking of a live poll, by the way, I have early results. We got 10 total votes, and 70% of people say that it is not biblical to say that God gives his strongest battles to the strongest soldier, or should be toughest battles to strongest. But yeah, so we got an early.
Message you?
No messages. Yeah, I mean, I only dropped it for an hour. But we did get 10 responses in an hour, so I like to say that there's some statistical validity to that early return. But with that being said, it's been 2.5 hours. And I think we all
this is the longest we've been.
Shout out to that boy Eddie. Couldn't be here, but we miss you, my boy.
Since people was
it would have
been
3 hours of Eddie.
Yeah, we
did. It would have been 3 hours if Eddie was here. No kidding.
But I mean, I guess we probably got a bit saved up after it's been a while anyway. So
yeah, it's been a hot minute. People haven't been able to express their feelings.
Yo, but Joe, good luck with your finals, man.
Appreciate you, man.
Never got a significant other to express feelings to, so that's where he can express his. Right.
I mean, I'm supposed to, but like I said, I don't like to complain.
You're supposed to, I don't.
I'm working on it.
Complaining though, I think you gotta look up.
I'm working on it.
You gotta look up the definition of complaining and be honest with yourself. Though I don't know the definition. That's what I'm saying. You gotta look it up.
We got our Christmas banquet here in like a few hours, so gotta go get ready for that.
That's why you got the whale cap on. You trying to like Chris?
No, it's not for me. I don't care nothing about this. I have to go. I'll get it. The banquet's not for me; it's for them. I'm going as a chaperone.
Right, but I mean,
hey, that boy said I'm here so I don't get fined.
Hey, dang, man, you looking good, dang.
Nah, you? No, the leave-in's only because it's Sunday. Sunday's like take care of the beard and Like that's
self care day. Self
yeah,
care
it's
day.
basically Sunday, the end of the week. Start the week off right. It's not for this. It's not for this banquet. I'll tell you that much.
Neff is just there so he don't get fined.
Listen, but all right, y'all.
I got. Yep. Peace
All
out,
right,
man.
y'all. It was a great time. Y'all be easy.